Joining us now is former New York State Senator and Democrat strategist David Carlucci. David Carlucci, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. The job report, it has exceeded expectations, more than 130,000 jobs being added. And of course, this shows that private hiring is surging, government jobs are shrinking. Pretty good news. I'd like to get your reaction.
Yeah, well, it's good to see us going in a positive direction. All of last year, we were underwater with only about 180,000 jobs created for the whole year. So that was about 15,000 jobs or so a month, way under expected at about 50,000 a month. So this is good news, moving in a positive direction. Although there's many economic indicators you can look at, but jobs is always an important one, and good to see that positive news.
Looking at the jobs report, some argue that we are seeing this because of the many illegals leaving the country. When you've got 500,000 people being deported and 2 million more voluntarily leaving the country, more Americans are lining up for jobs that they were doing, and companies that have to pay more. But of course, the people who have the tough job of deporting illegals are ICE officers. And yet we're seeing so many Democrats really push against ICE, some calling for ICE to be abolished, some others calling ICE or suggesting that ICE officers are Nazis. David Carlucci, can I get your thoughts around this? I mean, surely that kind of rhetoric that we are hearing from the Democrats encourages people to take to the streets when ICE officers are really doing their job.
Well, what you have going on here is not that Democrats are against ICE or rank and file ICE law enforcement members. In fact, Democrats support our law enforcement and support ICE when they're doing the job that we expect them to do. And that's to follow just proper safeguards that we have in place for almost every law enforcement agency in the United States. That means identifying yourself. That means not covering your face. That means making sure that you get a warrant when you do go into someone's house or go target a specific person. That's just due process. And that's extremely important because we are a nation of laws. We have the U.S. Constitution, which is extremely important. And many people, including myself, feel that unfortunately ICE is given the wrong instructions and they're not following due process. And that's what's led to the very chaotic scenes and unfortunately 2 American citizens dead because of this lack of respect of people's rights and due process.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely tragic that 2 people have died. That being said, some of the messaging we are hearing or we have heard from people like Tim Walz suggesting that ICE officers are Nazis. I mean, what do you make of that?
Well, no, I think what we see here is some of the concerns about what has been uncovered in terms of some of the messaging that we see that's just going in these alt-right circles or networks of the internet in terms of certain
What do you mean alt-right circles? Like, these are Tim Walz's words suggesting that ICE officers are Nazis.
What we've seen is that what's been uncovered is things like the marketing in terms of using the same text that was used in Hitler's Mein Kampf and things like that. But I think what's most important here and what Democrats are really talking about when you talk about these hearings on Capitol Hill and what Democrats have been saying is, look, we want to make sure law enforcement is doing their job, but they can't do their job when they're covering a wide swath of the United States, when they're going door to door, just trying to meet quotas of deporting residents and not going after our most violent criminals. That's what was promised to the American people, that we would deport criminals.
I think that's what we're seeing.
We see, no, we're not seeing that.
We're not seeing violent criminals being deported?
No, when we see the numbers, we actually see that only about 15% of the people that are being deported have any type of criminal record. So that's the problem. What we see is that ICE is incentivized to just meet a quota. And that doesn't keep us safe. When people fear calling the police because of their immigration status, that gives criminals the upper hand. What we're trying to do is make sure that we protect our Constitution, we protect the residents of the United States, and we can't do that when we're going after everyone. We do have limited resources, and we have to work together, both local and federal, to go after our dangerous criminals and not just target everyone, the gardener, the housekeeper, the farm worker. That's not right.
What do you mean that this gives criminals the upper hand? We're seeing crime really come down under this administration.
No, we don't. Those numbers have not come out yet. It's too quick to say that. But what
we're
we
not
are
seeing
seeing,
crime go down, is what you're saying?
well, there's no statistical proof of that. I would hope that happens. But what we are seeing, why I say that, is because when people feel threatened, if someone cannot come forward and call the police because they're feared that they will be deported or someone that they love will, that causes them to go underground. It causes them to go further and do things that are not appropriate and shields criminals. The people that are following the rules, for instance, we had a 5-year-old boy be detained and his father. This father was someone that actually applied for asylum status. So ICE knew where he was, and these are the people that they're going after and detaining. Instead, the people that are really trying to skirt the law and go underground are the hardened criminals and the people we need to go after. But when we're just going door to door and trying to find that low-hanging fruit, going to a day worker site or a place where there might be people that are illegal immigrants, yes, sure, we should go and go after people that are not following the law. But when we try to get every single one of the 15 million people allegedly here undocumented, and we're not targeting that, that's where the problems arise. But further of that, what's happened in Minnesota is that when people are exercising their constitutional rights, they're not able to do that. And that's the problem that we're seeing as well, exacerbating this whole situation.
Yeah, we are seeing crime absolutely go down. And under Obama, I mean, he was the deporter-in-chief, deporting millions of illegals. It seems like there's certainly a different standard or it just seems like there's a completely different standard when it comes to Donald Trump.
Well, that's right. There is a different standard. You're absolutely right, because we follow due process. And we're a nation of laws. We can't throw those laws out the window because we want to go to some arbitrary goal. That's the problem, that the ends do not justify the means in this case. And that's where I think a lot of people are conflating this issue, trying to say that Democrats are not supporting law enforcement or somehow are shielding criminals. There couldn't be anything further from the truth. In fact, what this is about making sure that we have a community that we want to live in. If we are constantly being threatened by masked federal officers that are demanding to see our birth certificate at every a step of the way, that erodes our rights, that erodes our quality of life. And that's not a country that I want to live in, and most Americans don't want to live in. And that's evident by polling that we're seeing. Quinnipiac poll just came out and showed that over 63% of Americans do not agree with the way that ICE is handling these deportations.
I want to ask you about this Democratic LaMonica McIver, who is currently facing charges related to interfering with ICE officers at a detention facility, is now facing a lot of backlash online over her line of questioning to ICE Acting Director Todd Lyons in a heated hearing earlier this week. Let's just take a listen.
Mr. Lyons, do you consider yourself a religious man?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, how do you think Judgment Day will work for you with so much blood on your hands?
I'm not going to entertain that question.
Oh, okay, of course not. Do you think you're going to hell, Mr. Lyons?
I'm not going to entertain.
Of course not. How many government...
The gentlelady will suspend.
How
The gentlelady will suspend.
David Carlucci, can I get your reaction?
Well, I mean, everyone has their opinion and their opportunity to question. Wouldn't it be the questions that I chose if I had that time as a member of Congress? I guess that's really all I have to say about that. This is not something that's really prominent, and this is just one question that was asked of many that I think were more substantiated and more substantial towards getting to the bottom of what's going on and trying to rectify the problems that we see throughout the country because of a lack of real guidance that's given to ICE.
Okay, we're going to leave that there. I want to talk about 2028, plenty of time between now and then, of course, but talk to us about the Democrats eyeing for the nomination. What's your assessment? Who's going to be the nominee?
Good question. I wish I knew. I think it's wide open. I think what we see is there's just so much enthusiasm on the Democratic side. You just see every opportunity that voters have, they're supporting Democrats in large numbers. That means the recent elections we had last election for gubernatorial races in New Jersey, Virginia. And then you see these special elections, like a special state Senate seat in Texas that Trump won overwhelmingly, now went to a Democrat. So I think the wind is at the back of Democrats. I'm looking forward to a healthy, robust debate on the Democratic side. And I've already seen numerous candidates pop up and indicate that they'll be running. But I think we have a long way to go, and we have a lot of candidates that still have not announced that they'll be running.
I also want to ask you about Maxine Waters. There's reportedly a generational fight brewing inside the Democrat Party that Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who's now 87, is facing younger primary challenger, arguing that it is time for new leadership. Mila Rahman says that the district's median age is 36 and claims that Democrats need new energy that reflects younger voters. Can I get your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, hey, great to see people stepping up and challenging the incumbents. Our congressional system does reward seniority, so there is a benefit to having just serving that longer time, meaning more resources, being able to bring back to the district, et cetera. But I'm not really concerned about this. Actually, I think it's a good thing that we see a robust fights within the Democratic Party. But I'm more concerned about these races where we can pick up and beat Republicans. This is not a district that is in that criteria. So this is really an outlier. What's more interesting are the races between Paxton and the Senator Curran in Texas, where you have this issue of millions of dollars being spent to fight a Republican primary where that money could go to other places trying to defend Republicans. But I think Texas is going to be an interesting state to watch because of the tens of millions of dollars that has to be spent defending this U.S. senator against the Texas Attorney General, one where Trump has not weighed in, and it's left people really scratching their heads on who to support, but one where they think if this more right-wing candidate wins, it could play well for Democrats in the general election. So it's really interesting to see. I think more so on the Republican side, where they are having these interfighting in districts and in Senate races that really could benefit Democrats in the long run.
Okay, former New York State Senator and Democrat strategist David Carlucci, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Great to be with you. Thanks.